Good morning and happy Friday. I've chosen today as a story time, and I'll probably be scattered all over the place, but what I'm telling you is true. Imagine a happy go lucky little girl who is always inquisitive, who didn't always use tact. Um, the little girl, she saw stuff, she would say stuff, especially if something was like contradictory. And what I mean by that, the little girl would overhear adults talking, and the little girl paid particular attention to whenever adults talking. The little girl was raised to be seen and not heard. And oftentimes, as a child, when you're inquisitive, when you just want to know why, how, what, when, it's kind of hard. This little girl endured adults saying like harsh stuff. And even though the little girl didn't know what the meaning to the words that were being spoken to her meant, she knew by the facial expressions that it wasn't something nice. And that wasn't something nice always seemed to be directed to the little girl. But there were some superheroes in the little girl's life. The superheroes that allowed, no matter how many questions came, they always had an answer, or they would say, I had never heard of that before. I mean, they were honest with the child. And that little girl grew to be, I don't know, at 14, that little girl's mindset about a whole lot of things changed, especially some of the people she had been forced to be around. At 14, the little girl really started making decisions for herself as it concerned people and people being allowed in her space. The little girl, like I said, was somewhat rebellious, still inquisitive, and always daring to do something. You couldn't dare the little girl to do anything except go get a needle or pet somebody's dog. You could never get the little girl to do that. And it's just amazing how the things the little girl thought of as a child that were contradictory, they actually were. And the little girl, although the little girl wanted to be accepted and loved and appreciated by everyone, wasn't meant to be. Because the little girl could see things, like see things around people. Also see when a person was lying. The little girl never got in trouble for what she actually said, because she actually didn't say a lot. When the little girl spoke, it caused people to think, and they were actually listening, but that's just a little girl. The one mistake the little girl who became a teenager made was not knowing her worth, was not knowing that people said things out of their own insecurity. Because the little girl was actually raised to see the best in people. And some people, no matter how hard you try, it's just not in them to do right. So the little girl left home 2 weeks after her 18th birthday, ill prepared for the type of people that she would encounter. I mean, she ran into some of the same types of people that she had been surrounded by, but she didn't have to be quiet anymore. She let them know from jump that she didn't want anything to do with them. The little girl's never been fake. The little girl grew into a woman that doesn't really have a circle. The little girl has family, then the little girl has associates. Some associates could be considered friends, but the little girl lost 2 actual friends at an early age, and that hindered the little girl who became a woman who wasn't really prepared for the world. It kind of put like a wall around the little girl who became a woman's heart. That little girl that I'm talking about is me. I don't mean any harm when I don't have much to say. I choose my words wisely. Because see, anything I say out of my mouth, I actually mean, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. But there's some people that I grew up around that I just don't have that much to do with. That actually, if they were to leave the planet, it would be just like me throwing away a piece of gum that I've already chewed. I have no use for it. But I'm learning. Through observing other people, I've actually learned a lot. That honestly, you can't just cast everybody away. My mother told me a very important lesson before I left home. She said, Trisha, you can't live in this world by yourself. And yeah, so when I ventured out to make friends, when I left from home, I didn't choose very well. Dang, I didn't even choose my lovers very well. I just didn't. Because in addition to being upfront and honest, I always knew what I wanted. And at that time, I was of childbearing age, and I certainly didn't want to give birth to a mutant. I just didn't. So in my shallowness, I looked on the outside of a person. Because my scientific mind, okay, if I have dimples and he has dimples, more than likely our child will have dimples. You know, stuff like that. But I've learned. I've learned that you don't have to beat yourself up about bad choices. You don't. Learn from them. And I did. And I can honestly say on this 25th day of April, I almost said April, on this 25th day of November in the year 2022, I've learned a lot. And I've learned a lot from unsuspecting sources. I'm so appreciative of the lessons that I've learned up to this point. See, in the month of December, I will enter my final year of my 50s. I know it's hard to believe, but I got good genes. I'll be 59 my birthday. And usually, I sing songs up until that day. But honestly, I'm going to try to find something to be grateful for and to tell you guys about. Yeah, that's what this long upload is about. About some of the lessons I've learned. There might be a song or two in there or whatever, but sometimes there's a time and a place for everything. And at this moment, singing is not it. It's to share what I've learned. And hopefully, I can honestly spare someone else from going through some of the disappointments and mishaps that I've had. It seems like my lessons were lifelong. When I chose wrong, it wasn't just a oops and that's it. I chose wrong and it has affected my whole life. Well, anyway, I'm rolling on into 10 minutes, something I rarely do. I hope you've gotten something out of what I said. Enjoy your Friday and hopefully there's more to come. God bless you and have a wonderful weekend. Love you. Bye-bye.